here from Cape Cacao. Today I'm going to be talking with Laura from Kakao Zauber, and we are going to be talking to Jo from Held. She is here in South Africa. She's a fellow cacao sister. So Laura and I have been doing these sacred womb wisdom podcasts, and we are going to be working or talking with Jo today. So let me call them up here and then we can get going. Jo and Laura, if you could just invite to. Alright, so Jo, I see you're already on. Let's get you going. Accept. There we go, this should work. Sometimes we have to try a few times. So I see the button to accept you. Nothing's happening afterwards. Let's try doing this again. So if you can uninvite yourself and then invite yourself again and request, and I'm going to do the same with the invite. Instagram. Okay, so hello everybody that is joining live. We're going to start this again. No, we're not, because there's Jo. This always happens. Hello, sister. Oh, wonderful. So we're just waiting for Laura to get on. Perfect. And then we will start our chat. In the meantime, I have my cup of cacao ready. And I also have my candle, which I'm going to light in a moment. And so let's just wait for Laura. Otherwise, when she's ready to come in, she can also let us know. So we're both here in not so sunny Cape Town at the moment. Yeah, so let's light a candle. If you have one going, you can join me. I'm going to light one here just to call in the spirit of this conversation, acknowledge the spirit of cacao, and then we can get our chat going. Right. Just taking a moment to acknowledge spirit of our heart. Just calling in the heart of the sky, heart of the earth, heart of the sacred fire, heart of the four winds, four directions, and the spirit of cacao herself, as well as spirit of all of us here in this conversation today, in this online virtual room. And so we're welcoming in Jo, and I see Laura is now ready to join us. So welcoming us all slowly but surely. All right, Laura, I can see you there. If you can unrequest and request again. I'll do the same with the invite. Thank you for your patience, Jo, and everybody watching. There we go.
Yay. Hi, hello.
Hi.
The amount of just like that little bit of stress at the beginning of every conversation. I'm like, okay, so get everybody here and then we're ready to go. All right. So hello, Laura, and hello, Jo, and hello, my candle, and hello, the candles on the other side of the screens as well. I've got my cacao here. We've also just opened up and welcomed in spirit. So I'm going to ask Jo to give us a little introduction of herself and her journey into cacao, and then we're going to kick off with, we'll just ask Jo a few questions. Laura will take it after the introduction, and then we'll just, we'll keep the flow going from there. So Jo, please let us know who you are and your journey into cacao.
Thanks, Fran, and both of you for having me here. It's a joy, and talking about cacao. And my journey started around 2020 when I was in the world, and I was finding myself in Central America among just many spaces and communities that were working with cacao. It was a very potent time in my own life journey, after having just lost my mother, and I was really just searching for that spirit and that essence and that missing part. And as we know, cacao really was a way for me to connect with that, and so deeply entangled with just my own story and my own grief and now my own birth, having just had a baby and getting to take cacao along with this. And so, yeah, my travels found me in Guatemala, where, as both of you know, is just a beautiful source of the seed and very potent way to connect with cacao on its land. And so since then, I've been very much, on this journey with cacao, very much from a Mayan perspective and working with cacao from those lands. And I did training in Guatemala, which I bring into my ceremonies and the work that I do here. So yes, I guess that's my story. And it continues. It keeps unfolding and spiraling so many different shapes and has brought me here now.
Thank you, Jo. It's really lovely to hear. Also that you've been connected to cacao in Guatemala. Like I was there in 2022, so that was the lockdown experience.
Wow.
And for me, it started a bit before that, though, in 2017 when I first tried cacao in its pure form. So we all know the phases, I think, of flowing with cacao and feeling its abundance, pausing it here and there. And I think loads of questions I get from my students and also just community in general is, you know, I feel like they often feel that they have to do it the right way, and it's either they feel guilty for drinking it daily, or they feel guilty if they pause it and feel like they're neglecting the medicine or the spirit. So you might have probably all heard that. So that's why I would like to ask you first, how much cacao are you drinking right now and how regularly? And also, how old is your baby now?
Yeah, good questions. So my baby is 5 months now, as of yesterday, I think. So he is 5 months. Yeah, I always say I'm also 5 months. Like I'm growing with him as him as a mother. And so yeah, at the moment now in postpartum, in terms of dosage, I would say if I have a cup, never more than 30 grams, sort of between 20 and 30. I just see how I feel. And to be honest, it's when I get a moment. I wish I could say that it's, you know, there's set days or hours or moments, but it just doesn't work like that. And so when I can, which works out to be every couple of days, if that. And I love what you're saying about the seasons of pausing, because it really has been that. It's been, you know, you have all these ideas when you're pregnant or before you're pregnant of how this is going to look with being pregnant and your relationship with cacao, or postpartum, or even during birth. And it just, for me, just has not worked out to be that grand vision of rituals every day, or you know, a big birth ritual. It's so, motherhood is so unpredictable, I find. And so how often I have cacao, it very much matches that. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Of course. No, wonderful. So you said like every couple of days, so still most days in a way, right? Like, or half.
I
Or do you feel there's a pause now at the moment more so?
Yeah, I feel like you know, also, as you say, there was a season of my life where I had cacao every day and high doses every day. And it was just so beautiful and intense. And there was so much of it. But I think the thing that's really, like, looking back now to how this has unfolded is just how you always in relationship. You're always in relationship with cacao. And so that relationship, I look back at pregnancy especially, and how it was just a time of invitation to expand and deepen that relationship in different ways that really went beyond the cacao in the cup, and looking for other ways to connect to spirit beyond the drinking of the warm cacao drink, and looking at the other ways in which that spirit can be tapped into and cultivated in relationship that isn't just drinking cacao. Because yes, I definitely drank less during pregnancy, and it was about looking at other ways. I mean, you have many different forms and manifestations of spirit that are not always tangible, and so it was really beautiful to challenge myself to look at how is this relationship beyond the traditional tangible ways of connecting with cacao. And looking back, that's what was most magical really about pregnancy. It wasn't how did I fit in, how did I adjust the doses, how much did I drink, and was it less, was it more. It was more just how deeper my own relationship with ish cacao, with the spirit, really became in a time that invited me to embrace that deepening.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
The linked into that, because I know that you, I think it was probably your second trimester by then, you actually took another trip to Guatemala. So you mentioned you were there in 2020, you were there again last year, and you went back and reset a training, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And I think you must have been around the beginning parts of your second trimester. So during those trainings, I know there's quite a bit of cacao offered. So my question is now more around how did you navigate that during your second trimester, being there, and then also linking that into the spiritual connection. So from the dosage into the spiritual connection, specifically during your second trimester in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Before you go, Jo, can you just for everyone to just as a comparison, because really everyone's very, very different, and so we know your context, because before you now go into that story, it's people need a context. So that's why I asked you, okay, now at the moment you're drinking like usually 20 to 30 grams, still much higher than my dosage from like that time of of postpartum. So but I have a different context. So right, so I've been drinking cacao longer, hence why usually people drink less over that time, but also depends on your condition. So before you go in that, is your what's your context? So not right now, we know 20-30 grams here and there, less time, so when it comes around you're grateful for it. Pregnancy, you said, was changing, and we're going into that, especially second trimester in Guatemala, but also, which is also context of where you live. So if you're in Guatemala, even without drinking the plants, like they are there, so this makes a difference. So where were you before? And how much would you say was the highest amounts you know in the phase of like, okay, that's when I was like fully going for it and I had my, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 grams a day? Or was it more like, you know what I mean, just so we get a
Yeah.
context.
So I was here in Cape Town, where I am now, and yeah, I would say I was having maybe between 25 and 35 grams would be normal in the years leading up to that. I would say maybe there was a period where I was seeing a good ceremonial dose as 40 grams, and I was having that, but it was actually too much for me. I don't need that much, and I seldom have 40 grams these days, and in the last while. So I'd say a good strong dose for me would be, maybe 36, 37, 38.
And that was
But
like on a regular, like daily basis?
no, I wouldn't even, that would be if I was having the intention to have a strong ceremonial dose. So that would be the max, I would say. Otherwise, if I had to find an average of what I was regularly drinking, I'd say between 30 and 35 grams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That helps.
Great. So as Fran says, I was in Guatemala pretty much as the second trimester started, end of first trimester. It worked. I didn't plan it that way. It worked out totally serendipitously that I was there at that time, and I planned to go and found out I was pregnant just before. So it was just a really beautiful serendipitous stroke of luck that I got to be there. I was doing the Lava Love
You say yes.
my training at the time. And yeah, I did think just before I went, how am I going to do this training if I'm pregnant and I'm going to be having so little cacao? But I very much took my guidance from Isabel, who Isabel and Isaias are the couple who run the training, who run Lava Love. And Isabel is very in tune with working with pregnant women. She works very closely with the midwives in Guatemala, who are a huge part of the birthing process and of just the cultural fabric there, with women who are pregnant, pre and postpartum. And she just guided me that whatever we were drinking, just to have a few. She literally said, you have a few sips and see how you feel. I never would have a full cup. And so there was never separate cacao made for me. On some days, if I just wasn't feeling like it, I just didn't have it. It was very intuitive. I don't know what the exact grams or dosage was that we would drink today, but there was a lot of cacao. There were multiple cups of cacao drunk every day by most people. And so for me, it was just very much about, I would always have a couple of sips and see how I felt. And if I felt okay, maybe some more. But more often than not, I would just have less. I would, it comes back to what I said about not really needing it, because the spirit was so alive, and we were connecting in so many other different ways than just the drinking. And so I wish I could give you like more defined numbers, but I guess what the important thing here is that, which I'm sure the advice you two give so often to the people that your students and the people that you work with, is that everyone is different and you go by what you feel, and only you can tell. And so that was also a really great way to embody that, was going slow, starting slow, and seeing how you feel, and really letting that particular cup guide you and that particular day, and you being the master of your body, and knowing what feels right and what doesn't, and to rather take it slow. And that's really just what I did. It was just sometimes one sip, sometimes a couple of sips, and putting my cup aside and saying that's fine for me for today. And so it was really great in that way to just trust myself and trust my body, and knowing that I would get exactly what I needed each day from each, whether it was just one sip or a couple. And some days I felt it very strong. I felt, I've got to stop. And I was very lucky that I didn't really have nausea or sickness, which a lot of women will have in their first trimester, and may really not feel like having a drink that can be quite rich a lot of the time. And so yeah, I was lucky that it felt good. And yeah, that answers your question, Fran.
Yeah, it does.
Would you share with us if you had cacao during birth?
So I didn't actually. My baby surprised me 1 month early, and so I had planned to. I had grand plans to have a flask of cacao and to have it in labor, but I ended up not even getting to go home and pack a bag. So I wasn't at home either. So it was just one of those things that shows you really can't plan. And so no, I didn't. I would have loved to and had plans to, but it just didn't work out that way. And so I didn't have it during birth, but it has been very, very, very nourishing postpartum, especially. Yeah, I'm finding it very, very supportive in this time. Really just putting the nutrients back into my body. Breastfeeding, I find, depletes me a lot. I feel tired. I'm hungry all the time. So I find cacao really, just really nourishing in that way. Just giving so much back to my body, and just taking the time to slow down and have moments to myself has been supportive.
So that actually was one of my questions. So thank you for leading beautifully into that. I was going to ask you about postpartum, especially finding the time and having to navigate this new addition to your life. So it's all very well to, just like your the plan that you wanted to have some cacao during birth. I think many people think, all right, we're going to have these first few weeks is what we're going to do. This is our routine. And you mentioned already that you don't have long rituals. But just in terms of practicalities, when are you finding the time to make cacao? Because it also takes time. And are there some ways that you shorten that for you so that you can then just have some quiet time? And what does that look like?
Yeah, so I don't, in terms of how I make it, I don't shorten it. I sort of say to myself, if I'm rushing it, it's not the right time.
Wow.
And so I still make it the same. It's just as I'm now, as Kai gets more into a routine, that helps me get more into my own routine. So I usually know in the mornings at a certain point he'll start to get sleepy or sleep. And so I try fit it in with that. I often read books to him. And so what I started doing as a way to just have some moments of practice and devotion is, instead of reading a book, I'll read him the reading of the day. The Nawala. And that's been a really nice way for me to just be reading to him, because they, everything says, just keep talking to them, and a way to do that is to just read books. And so it's a way that I can be reading, and also just my own self having that moment of connection of what energy are we connected with today. And it's just actually developed into just a really beautiful thing for the two of us to share, and a way for me to have my own little micro ritual, and not lose that sort of daily tuning in to my practice of devotion, which is the Nawales. My husband Steve and I have sort of fallen into a bit of a pattern of Friday nights. We'll sit and have cacao, and Kai will sit with us. It's not every Friday, it's not regular, but it's something that we try do if we can, just also to have the time as the three of us, the time as the two of us. And being new parents, we really don't have any other plans on a Friday night. So it's the way to feel like we're doing something together and doing something we really want to do, can't really do at this point outside of our home. So yeah, I guess the ritual is still there. It just takes new shapes and new forms and new translations. Yeah.
Always have to. I love fitting back into what Laura was saying about context. This is now the context of your life, and cacao is part of that.
Yeah.
So how to evolve, keep evolving into the new context now. And I love that. A Friday night cacao party at home. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and we have instruments, and with a small baby, I think the rattle is the thing you find yourself most. And so we just rattle and sing hymn songs and medicine songs. We try not to take offense if he cries at our singing. But sometimes he does, a lot of the time he does. So yeah, like you say, Fran, it's just new contexts and new ways of being together with the medicine.
If I may ask one more question.
Yeah.
And so also for everyone else watching, as like a little tip, but the way you connect with cacao and in a non-tangible form, is there one that kind of like a favorite thing for you to do where you feel like that's how you connect without necessarily drinking it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, each day I will connect with the energy of the day, the Noales. In the Mayan lineage, in the Mayan tradition, their cosmovision works with 20 different energies, and they go in a cycle, and there's a different energy that governs each day. And so that is one way, is that in connecting with that cosmovision, I connect with the spirit of cacao. And then other ways, maybe just sitting in dialogue with that spirit, maybe movements. I do, if I can, like a 10-minute movement practice in which I am connecting with body and heart, and cacao is a part of that. Also, the other different forms, cacao butter is amazing. Is amazing for like stretch marks and for the body postpartum. I found that very supportive as a way to connect with cacao that isn't drinking. So you can take cacao butter and melt it and use it as just, whether you massaging or moisturizing. Also, you get cacao husk tea, which I don't have my own cacao husks. There is someone in Cape Town who sells cacao husk tea, and that was recommended to me by Isaias and Isabel as a way to still connect with cacao pre and postpartum. So yeah, those are some ways. But it's very much just the prayer and the intention that you're connecting with, and what that relationship of goddess and mother and nourishment and nurturing means to me, and how I'm in conversation with that through prayer and through other ways of your devotion with that spirit. So it's the intangible, a lot of it in silence, a lot of it not necessarily spoken about, or a lot of it beyond language, actually, not put into words, or very felt sense of somatic way of connecting with goddess and spirit.
Beautiful. We I just have a final question. I think we've dived in with some very specific ones, which is very cool. I want to take the eagle approach now, and this is based on the assumption that you do feel that having had an already established relationship with Spirit of Cacao before being pregnant, that you received a lot of benefit. That's my first assumption. Just correct me if I'm wrong there. So based on that, could you just give some highlights on how that has been beneficial, having had an already established relationship with Spirit of Cacao, but also knowing your body and knowing how you are affected by drinking the cacao physically? So just your kind of top highlights. How has it been beneficial for you?
Beneficial for me. I think having something beyond the stuff, the sorry, I'm thinking about this now.
Please do, like, take your time.
Yeah.
This I think you already said something very important there, like having something beyond the stuff. I bet loads of people, you wouldn't believe, they actually get it. I think they totally get it, because when we first encounter tools, we think in the external, we research in the external for answers, and then we encounter those tools like the cards, the oracles, the cacao, the plants, whatever. But really, they are all tools to guide us back into our own inner wisdom. So I think what you just said there is, it means you already knew, you had the tool, you were excited about it, but you then also reached a point where you knew the tool was meant to bring you to that connection within yourself.
Yeah.
And so then you knew you don't have to rely on it.
Yeah, exactly. I think how it was beneficial to me was I feel like I had this support. I had this mother energy, this grandmother energy, this very feminine, supportive energy at my disposal that was not affected by any external people, forces. It was just there for me to tap into as I needed, and it could deepen and expand as I did through the pregnancy. And so I would say that was one way. It was just having this support that was beyond like time and space, really, that I could connect with. And yeah, I think having the people around me when I was doing the training, it was a big group of women and one man. one man it ended up being, but I was just surrounded by women, and having that connection, all of us as women, and women connecting to a feminine spirit, and having that support was really beautiful. Yeah, so I think it was just very much this, really starting with the internal and the intangible and going outward from there, as opposed to like you were saying, the different tools of connecting to it was like a vice versa. And I think that's really just made sitting with cacao in its tangible form, just so much more important and more meaningful for me.
Anything more from you, Laura?
No, thank you. That was really, really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you they were good questions. It really made me think a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm known for
that. And I think
some people, even friends, are sometimes afraid of me, but you took it amazing, by the way. Try to make it gentle.
Yeah, I think also, like, I can apply to anyone, whether you're pregnant or not, that it's such a good, it's been such a good lesson for me, in that, yeah, like I keep saying, like, how are you connecting to cacao beyond this, and what you make in your pot each day? And there's so many different ways, because the spirit is everywhere and in everything. And it was really a beautiful journey, and it still continues to be. And it doesn't just be when you're pregnant or in motherhood that you seek and cultivate that relationship beyond the warm chocolate drink, that it's at any time in life, and any journey that you're going through, projects or big milestone or life stage, you can take that perspective. Yeah.
So I actually just wanted to end off saying if there's any final words that you have, but those sound like pretty good to end off on. But is there maybe a take-home message for anybody that is either preparing to be pregnant or is currently pregnant and is kind of unsure about working with cacao?
Yeah, I would say you are in relationship with Ish Cacao, with spirit, the mystery, whatever you want to call it. And that relationship doesn't stop or end or have a timeline. And so when you are pregnant, if you are going into that journey, as I said, if you're not pregnant and you are on some new journey of any kind, keep that in mind, that you are in relationship and you're just cultivating your relationship in a different way. And that itself is a journey and can be so beautiful. And there's a wider intelligence here, and it's about tapping into that, different intelligence, different manifestations of that intelligence of Ish Cacao. And it's a journey, and it's your journey. Only you know your body, and only you know the relationship. And so it's about you and how you cultivate that. Don't trust yourself. Let anyone tell you how that should look or work.
And for those that don't trust themselves, ask, right? This is really beautiful. And just to elaborate on that relationship picture, if you feel like, oh, but I don't have a relationship with cacao yet, or how do I have a relationship with spirit, or how does that work? Like, when you think about your friends and your family and how that relationship also changes whilst you're pregnant, right? You need other things. You suddenly need more rest, or you need more support from your partner, or you want to talk about different things with your friends. You know, these relationships also change. You get new relationships, and older deepen, or others fall apart. And same with cacao. It's like, this is able to evolve and change in whatever way or shape or form. She might ask you, or you might, for your body, decide like not to have a relationship with cacao in that sense, in the tangible sense, and then more move towards the intangible.
Yes.
But yeah, also ask. I think this is some for those that are not necessarily, that haven't yet had that connection with cacao and the trust in themselves. I think just be open that you will eventually find it.
Yeah, it's a really good.
And that's kind of was Laura and mine's intention with starting more of these chats, is just to hear from other beautiful beings that are bringing other beings into the world and their journey with cacao. And the theme that always comes through is support, community, and just keep reaching out. So we're starting our little our space here in the corner of the internet, just to create more of this community and to hear from others, and then also to be able to reach out. So for those of you who want to connect more with Jo, we'll put all the links underneath the video here. If you don't know Laura yet, well, you should by now if you've been following Cape Cacao for some time. We've been chatting for a few years already, but all the links to everybody will be underneath here. And so please reach out to any one of us. Yeah, thank you both so much for your time today. Are there any final comments or words?
How about, this is a great question. We just got a question here. Can we so I need to hop off. You can either continue, because I actually need to go and attend the cacao ceremony, but this would be also something, also just honoring Joe's time, and maybe Joe would like to take that question with her to ponder and reply to it in a post.
Yeah,
so the
sure.
question for those that watch the recording is, how did cacao influence your philosophy of life? And because that's such a big question, maybe that deserves its own. But you decide.
I think so.
I need to unfortunately go. But
thank you, sister.
Absolutely delightful to talk to you. Thank you for all these beautiful nuggets of wisdom that you shared, Joe. And Fran, as always, lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you, Joe. Love that question. So we're going to let Joe answer in a comment, and maybe all of us can also just ponder on it. The question is, how has cacao influenced your philosophy of life? And I think that's a beautiful question for all of us to ponder as well. So we're going to acknowledge the time here and just to say our goodbyes. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining.
So much for having, and yeah, for having these conversations. I think there's so many women out there who will, really appreciate. Yeah, this topic. So thank you so much.
Much love.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.